Hello everyone, it's Greg from Terminal 4 and we are going live here in Helsinki during one of the biggest conferences in Europe, Slush. Hello mom, I made it to the TV finally and now I'm gonna tell everyone in front of the screens what's gonna be happening tonight. And in just a couple of minutes, we're going to start off with the founders chat with Filip from Zalando and Cherry Ventures and Vital from Genesis and Fly1 Ventures. Moving up to Chris from Mattr talking about policy in consumer AI space. And then amazing and super dynamic fireside chats of founders during Startup Academy, now here with Mattr, talking to the VCs at Creandum, True, Felix Capital, Seed Capital, Heartfelt, so much amazing investors here at the place, and I'm so excited for that. And yeah, I think we're gonna be finishing with the chat with builders from Wolt and Lovable, and each chat will be 5 to 10 minutes, and this is everything is happening thanks to Terminal 4 startup ecosystem connecting more than 10,000 startups all over the world. Fly1 Ventures investing in CE originated founders. Mattr helping consumer apps to grow. Solid Gates payment orchestration platform, and Oyster HR global employment platform. I think that we are more than ready to start, and I'm super excited to invite to the set two amazing founders and legendary personas in European tech. It's Philip Dames, co-founder of Zalando and founding partner at Cherry Ventures, and Vital Laptenok, co-founder of Genesis and general partner at Fly1 Ventures. Guys, please join me at the couch. Please, you're so polite to each other. This is amazing. Make yourself comfortable. How are you doing? Yeah, please put on the headphones. Nice. Wow.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
You know, we should start an SMR club with this mics and headphones on.
It feels good.
Yeah. Guys, super pumped to talk to you today. And I would love to jump straight into it and tell you that nowadays, founders who are coming out of fast-growing companies are like super spot on for investors like yourself. And there's an amazing like perspective that from both of you companies, from Beer Retail, for instance, and Genesis, a lot of CEOs have come from like product analytics, user acquisition managers, developers. And actually, Philip, this question was inspired by a friend of mine, hello Pavlo, who became a founder after a career at Zalando.
Cool.
So I'm wondering, what is the pattern that you see is being built within the company for entrepreneurs to being born with it? And how would you describe the profile of such people? Vital, let's start with you.
Yeah. It's like, first of all successful founders in some ways are different, but also they're very similar. So, and to help a talented person to grow, it's like extremely important to recognize that like there are no same people. It's like different founders can be successful, but obviously there are a number of things that are similar that repeat one case after another. So for sure you need to have strong character. You need to be resilient. So building good company takes time. So basically, if you don't have it in yourself, that you don't, you're not able to like be focused on your business for like 10 years, it's not gonna happen. You need to be a high energy person. You need to make people fall in love in your business. It will like allow you to attract investors, employees, strong talent to your team. So yeah, I think this like repeats itself, but yeah, once again, everyone is different. You need to understand this difference, accept it, and work with it.
Yeah, and knowing the people who are leading the products you've supported from the early on, you're absolutely right, and I can confirm that. Philip, what about you?
Yeah, so I think if you want to be a breeding ground for founders as a company, and I think Zalando was that, I think you need to, have a couple things in mind. Yeah. So I think first is the type of people that you hire. And I think at Zalando, and I guess also that's why the founders, Robert and David, brought me in to Zalando, was you want to hire people that are, we always say, rather hire for slope than for y-interception. Yeah, so people that have a strong trajectory, even if they don't have that much experience. Yeah, so even if someone is a little bit more junior, maybe hasn't had 10 years of work experience, but they have a very high slope, so they can grow very fast. Those are the kind of people that you want to hire in the first place, and I think those are the kind of people that then later turn into founders. Yeah, and then the second thing is you need to be okay with giving people a lot of responsibility, and often when you scale a company and you grow faster than you can handle. Basically, everyone, nobody was prepared at that time for the type of growth that we were seeing. So everyone's kind of jumping in the cold water together and trying to stay afloat and trying to swim. And I think you need to be okay with that. You need to be able to trust your people. And if you do that, then you also attract people that want to take responsibility and want to, at the end also develop this founder DNA, this builder DNA. And I think there's many examples of the Zalando ecosystems where people have gone out and started their own companies. And I think there's a third thing that I would mention where I think that's super important is you need to create a culture in the company where you embrace failure, where it's okay to fail. It's not that you get fired if you experiment with something that doesn't work, but it's the opposite. You make a mistake, you get up and you try again. And I think if you as a company, if you establish a culture where that is okay, where that is the norm, we need to try things, we need to throw things against the wall and see what sticks. I think if you have that mentality, you're also attracting, again, the kind of people that will then, go out and build. And I think it's a great thing. It's also, at the end, the way we hire a cherry. We always want to hire builders. We want to hire people that, could, and maybe they will one day start their own company, because that's the only way that internally we keep this very entrepreneurial DNA across the firm.
Wow. Vital, I remember you had a question.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Filip. So,
Vital, Mike?
Oh, sorry. You was successful as entrepreneur, and now you're successful as an investor. But what's kind of bothering me, really often, is that even if you're successful in the past, I don't know how to continue to be a successful entrepreneur and investor, because world is changing. Now building business today is completely different thing as building business 5-7 years ago. So in your opinion, how successful founders evolved over this time? What features change? How is it different today from how was it 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, so thanks. Good question. I think a couple things. When Robert and David started Zalando, and then I joined a couple of months later, it was one of the very few startups in the ecosystem. And if you looked at sort of Berlin at the time, it was an ecosystem of mostly consumer companies, mostly e-commerce, some marketplaces, and that's how the ecosystem got started. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And I think as the ecosystem evolves, and as you have success cases, money coming back to the ecosystems, angels making money, investing in it, then also the ambition level grows. Yeah, so I think we've come a really long way in Europe that we are now able to also look at the hard stuff. Yeah, so we have been doing a lot more in the deep tech side, like for example, exploration company, Proxima Fusion, Robote, Quant, photonics chip companies. So these kind of companies, I don't think they would have been started in Europe 10, 15 years ago. So it's a different ambition level. The ceiling is higher, and the quality of the founders generally has improved, and their ambition to build is higher. And now I would say there's a second thing that comes into that equation, which is AI. Yeah, so we're looking at a time where it's never been easier to build, because very, very few people can do so much with AI these days. And I think a couple of years ago, if you wanted to start a startup, you had to know how to code. Now you almost don't know how to code, and don't need to know how to code anymore, because you can build so much with Cursor, Lovable, and all these available tools. So I think it's just helps people to be more innovative and create sort of more opportunities for founders to build stuff with very limited resources, which I think is the exciting part. So that has changed. What has not changed with AI is sort of you still need what you mentioned, the resilience, you need this hardworking attitude, you need the hustle, you need good judgment, you need to make decisions. It's easier. So basically the what you build is still the same. It's just how you build it that has become easier with AI.
Right. And
so I was curious because I mean you're behind a lot of consumer businesses and a lot of other companies that you've been co-founding and started. So I was just wondering if you would start a company in Europe with unlimited funding, basically. So you can basically pick your seed round. You can do a blanco term sheet. Okay, just put in the amount and the valuation, and you get started. Where would you build and why?
Actually, there was always a promise in technology and the internet since the first days that technology is going to make our lives better. We're going to be healthier. We're going to be more connected. Remember, first day of Facebook, it was about connecting people. But in reality, what happened? We scroll TikTok mindlessly. We I don't know. We are not connected. We're more disconnected now than we were before. We are not healthier now than we were before. So basically, I think that now it's time to build, and now actually technology allows to build something that could really change on consumer side, change life of consumer in a good way. So basically, you can have personalized health assistant. You can have personalized teacher that is accessible to everyone in the world. So because it's cheaper. So I believe we need to do things that make people's life better. Yeah,
less scrolling Instagram and TikTok, and more investing in yourself and investing in the learning experience. I agree with that. It's cool.
Wow, such an amazing conversation, guys. I would love to keep it going and hope you will keep chat with the drinks. And thank you for being with us today. Thanks for stopping by. It's been a pleasure. And we'll be right back.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. All right.
And we're back. We're back with Chris, Director of Policy at Mattr. Chris, thanks for stopping by. Please tell everyone, what do you do at Mattr?
Pleasure. Hey, thanks so much for having me. I look after the public policy teams for our Northern Europe region, which includes the Nordics. So great to be here with you guys today. A lot of the work that my teams do is talking to politicians, policymakers, regulators about technology, the future, how we set the right rules to make sure that innovation and growth can flourish.
Amazing. That's exactly what we're going to be talking today about, because as soon as I reached out to Chris and we had a little chat, I told him that I would really love to talk about how regulations influence the consumer AI now, the builders, the investors, and that's something that's been bothering in Europe, especially for the latest time. And Chris was simultaneously, oh yeah, I got plenty to tell about the regulations in Europe. So please, let's unpack what are the industries where regulations hit the hardest, and what maybe you see the biggest challenges for them?
Yeah, and I think there's a number of sectors, but I think also if we just step back for a moment and you think about where Europe is at this point in history, then what you see is, at the turn of the millennium, Europe and European companies were 20% of like tech market cap globally, and now we're maybe touching 4%. And all the stats that I know about, the world's greatest companies, the world's largest companies, the world's biggest unicorns, and how few of them call Europe home. So I think, yes, you can ask about particular sectors, but there's a wider issue here, which is European competitiveness writ large. And when we think about technology regulation, I think some of the things which in the past we would have said are about, people thought they were narrow rules about how to govern the internet, because that was the conversation that we were having in the past when the big platforms were starting to come online and they were getting a lot of traction. But nowadays, when we talk about rules around how data is used or how AI is rolled out, like you tell me a company that isn't thinking about how to use AI, right? In any consumer sector or in industrial or services, it touches all of them. And so I think sometimes these conversations about rules and regulations, they get boxed into this little narrow corridor called tech, but really they're about the European economy as a whole. Do you not think?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, I understand, and at the same time, I'm so confused and a bit scared of not understanding and knowing the way out. And I'm wondering, what's the way out that you see at Mattr?
Well, I think a lot of people have been looking at this, right? And it's more than a year now since Mario Draghi published his report on European competitiveness. And listeners, I'm sure, are either familiar with that or they can go and look it up and read all the detail and what was recommended there. But if you sort of want to take a sort of macro view of it, been a lot of efforts around how do we simplify some of the rules that have got very complicated. How do we make sure that new rules don't overreach and get in the way of innovation? And how do we make sure that all the apparatus that's enforcing the rules and regulations does that in a way which, like, for sure, you've got to have rules and they've got to be proportionate, but also you've got to understand people have a right to innovation and growth and progress, as well as protecting against the risks that we care about as a society. So I think people know a lot of the answers. Like we're sitting here today, the omnibus package on digital simplification has just come out this afternoon. I've been in meetings, so I haven't had a chance to kind of read through all the detail. I'm encouraged that those conversations are taking place. I just hope that people are bold enough on the reform and simplification that will make it easier for companies of all sizes. And I think particularly for the startups and the scale-ups that I know are here in Helsinki at the moment, making sure that what's being built helps them to grow into great European companies, because there is so much potential here. Like I'm a proud European. I know a lot of great European founders and investors and builders.
Yeah.
And I also think we can do better.
Do you really think that founders and investors being bold and loud in public will influence the general picture, the big picture?
I think it makes a difference, right? You see the conversation around the EU Inc. proposals. Mm-hmm. That's been really inspirational to see that happen, and it's been led by the community who've said, here's an issue, and let's think about the right way to try to make some progress here on something which is a blocker for us. Now, is that the end of the story? No. Clearly, we have to see how that plays out, but also there are going to be other things coming down the track that people need to pay attention to. But I do think there's so much energy in the ecosystem. I think it's really important that people are able to translate that into the policy and political environment, because a lot of the policymakers that I've spoken to through the course of my career, they care about these issues, but they're not expert in them, and there isn't really a substitute. If you've not built a company, if you've not been doing the hustle of operating and scaling, for sure, I cut you some slack that you don't know what that's like and you don't necessarily understand the pain. But then it's incumbent, I think, on people in our world to speak up and make sure that people who are doing the decision making do that in a way that's really well informed.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And shout out to EU Inc. You're doing an amazing job. And Chris, thank you for everything that you do in your job. It is super important. And I really hope that there is a bright future for European builders to build and create high impact product for European users here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Been great to see you.
We'll
Thank
be
you.
right back. And we are back. And we're back with Jamie and Joe. The guys flew in from UK, and I would really love to talk to you. So, Joe, let's start with you. It's been a pleasure for me to be in touch with a true global team for a while, and I love your approach. I love the brands you've invested in. Please unpack for all the viewers about yourself and your firm.
Yeah, for sure. So True is a consumer sector specialist. So everything that we do is in the consumer and retail vertical. I help run our venture capital fund, which is a pre-seed to Series A focused fund, investing in either consumer-facing businesses, so marketplaces, apps, networks, whatever it might be, or B2B businesses that sell into the consumer and retail vertical. We focus there because we have a broader ecosystem that includes a private equity investment strategy and an innovation advisory business that works with some of the biggest corporates in the consumer and retail space around the world. And we try and bring that ecosystem to bear for the benefit of our founders.
Thank you so much. Jamie.
Hi, Greg.
Thanks for flying all the way here. I know this has been a long trip for you.
It has, yeah.
Please unpack what you're building at Mattr.
Yeah, so my name's Jamie. I'm the founder and CEO of Mattr. We're the world's first lifestyle product for singles, and we get every single aspect of what a dater needs, from online connections to the date venue, to the retail side of things, and also the events. But the key USP is we promote an ethos of complete transparency and vulnerability, so make the online experience a much better and safer space to be, which I know our industry is really lacking in. There's commotion going on.
All right.
They liked it. They liked it.
We have live event. Actually.
Yeah,
You're getting heckled already.
Yeah, I know.
For everyone online, just for your information, we have around 100 people here at the bar in Helsinki, just having fun while we are talking here at the mic. And all right, Jamie, I think that the problem that you're solving is super important. And I'm wondering, Joe, what you think on the consumer social space itself nowadays, and what are the theses or metrics that you have when it comes to with product that targets such a personal and unique connections for the user?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't need to tell you, but consumer social is hard. It's like notoriously difficult. I think what appeals for us as an investor, though, is that when you hit it, you can really hit it. There's inherent network effects that helps these businesses scale very quickly. And so we're really excited by consumer social. I think it's been a challenge over the last few years. We haven't really had any breakout successes. And so I think some people take that as a reason to think that social is dead, but we very much disagree. I think in terms of our thesis, what we love to see is where founders are enabling a fundamentally different type of interaction, a unique interaction that couldn't have existed before. There's a clear why now around it. So one example of that is we think there's some really interesting potential applications of AI in the sort of multiplayer experiences, particularly with AI now dropping the barrier to entry for a lot of people to engage in creative content production, whether that's music or images or video, building native multiplayer experiences around that moment of creation. We think is a really unique, there's a unique time, a why now around that, and could be a really interesting play. And we've kind of seen this transition in social from the kind of watching and chatting and connecting sort of dynamic, and we'd like to see that evolve into moving and doing and building together as well. That's what we'd love to see.
Absolutely. And continuing that thought, Jamie, in your space, I mean, in your biggest competitors in the dating space, they're in the middle of rethinking the concept of user interaction. As more people like ghost each other, the audience becomes more and more lonely. I'm wondering, what's your engagement strategy at Mattr? Could you please unpack what you can?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, bad behavior or negative behaviors like that are somewhat a product of the design of the system. So to give you an analogy, if something's in abundance, it's perceived to have no value, and that's why diamonds are expensive and pebbles are cheap. And so you behave accordingly to how much value you perceive you're getting from the commodity. In this case, if we look at Tinder and Bumble, you could swipe through 100 people, and therefore your respect for the actual people is lessened. So the thing what we do, which is very, very different, is we very much pull out the vulnerability. We actually believe that what you're not sharing is what's going to connect you. And so the intention of the user is completely different on our product. They respect what they're getting more because we've actually limited. We're using AI to match people up. We give you 6 people a day or 9 if you're a premium user. So you take time and it's considered. We don't allow you to message someone without even opening the profile, which for me seems just like common sense. You would never go up to someone in the bar and just poke them and walk off like a like would be. I might have 6 puppies and you might be allergic to dogs, but if you're just swiping like this, you'll never know. So the intention and the design of the product needs to affect the consumer behavior. And I think if we look at the latest report that Hinge, well, it's not the latest, but it's one that's been redone, 93% of people, when they got asked to value the most important quality in a partner, was emotional vulnerability of the potential partner. And yet that's never been put into technology. And so actually it's kind of giving people what they want rather than forcing to them use something that's completely unnatural to human nature. And so that's how we're really looking at kind of bad practices, is changing the design, changing the comms and making it apparent what's good to do, and then getting a better audience into the product.
Thanks for sharing with us. And we got some time for you to ask a question to Joe.
Yeah, okay. So I know your thesis, Joe, Drew, is all around, humans and consumer and platforms, but what is the biggest human problem you're seeing in consumer right now?
I think there's probably 2 that I'd call out that are linked.
Two's
I think
good.
One is what we've talked about already around loneliness. And I think the original paradigm of consumer social was bringing people together to find community online for people who maybe didn't have community in the real world. I think we've transitioned to a more passive experience for a lot of social. We've gone from this kind of connectivity and networking driven dynamic towards more broadcast media with something like TikTok. And I think that we're losing a bit of the humanity in the potential of social media for that. And I think linked to that is around purpose for consumers and being able to participate in something that engages them and drives them on a regular basis. And I think obviously human-to-human connection in the real world does that. But also some of these things we've talked about in terms of being able to participate in the content creation and not just being a passive audience member. I think if we can unlock that, I think we'll hopefully start to reverse some of the challenges that we've seen with the negative externalities of technology and consumer social in particular.
Absolutely, I agree with you both, guys. And Jamie, thank you so much for building in the solution for this problem. And Joe, thank you so much for supporting it. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back. And we are back. And, guys, for me, this trip in Helsinki is actually the understanding that people are real. And I see some of them for the first time, and it's so amazing. And here is a good friend of mine, Imti from Heartfelt, with whom we've been in touch for a while. And he's such an amazing person. Please tell about yourself to the audience.
Thank you for those kind words. And you exist. You're real.
Yes.
This is great to see. Hi, everyone. I'm Imti. I'm from London, but I'm currently based in Berlin. I am an investor at Heartfelt. So we are a first check and pre-seed fund investing across Europe and the US. And we are sector agnostic as well. So we invest in pretty much everything. We come in at the earliest point. So we could come in before the pre-seed with the angels, or really be part of that 0 to 1 motion in the pre-seed round.
Wonderful. Isaac, you did such a long way here. Please tell us what you're building.
Yes, I came from New York City, and I am building a company called PikMe because we believe that people should be able to monetize their creativity without having to build a business around it, without having to get hundreds of thousands of followers, and being able to just monetize based on their imagination, especially with AI right now. We want people to be able to enter a competition against their fellow counterparts, whether you're a photographer, a musician, an artist, a designer, and go head to head against other people who are creating in the same medium, and essentially monetize based on however much you're willing to risk. If it's $1, you can win $1. If it's $100, you can win $100. And we are really passionate about monetizing creativity without limits, without any limitations, yeah.
Wonderful. Imti, I want to keep it going about the problem and the space Isaac is operating on. How do you see this space nowadays, and what is especially a redefinement of creator economy that you're looking for at Heartfelt?
Yeah, so I think for a number of years we've had creators basically trying to draw as much attention as possible to themselves, and there's been tools and apps around this, right? So, I mean, it's been your Instagrams, your Snaps, etc., etc. But now what I think we're seeing, is how do you start to build for creators in the creator economy such that you're empowering them to be these one-man, one-woman studios, right? And so the kind of different areas that I've been looking at, one is around the kind of, I guess, the plumbing side, the operational plumbing. So how can you automate a lot of that creating, the editing, uploading of clips such that you're not within an app, for example. Another area is around monetization. So the kind of ad model is not a sustainable model anymore. It just does not work. And we've seen, having lots of conversations about the future of advertising. So how do you allow those creators to capitalize on their content more outside of that? And then the third is around verticalized creators. So it's not just everyone wants to be an influencer. It's now you've got teachers, bus drivers, people who play golf who are trying to also create in this area. So this is what I'm looking at, is how do you serve each of those kind of three areas?
I want to double down on that topic of capitalization. Which model you believe in most? You mentioned advertising, subscription, and so on. What do you believe in
So
most?
I think for me, I'm trying to understand or see is how does the creator not just rely on like the AdSense, for example, right? So, for example, are they setting up their own shop? Are they selling merch? I mean, merch again was from a couple of years ago, but are they selling courses? Now, how do they try to make sure they're capturing 100% of that? Maybe you have platforms like a Shopify, kind of the next Shopify that will enable that. So this is the kind of area that I'm looking at, is how do you allow the creator to monetize fans in a way which doesn't just rely on views, basically.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And Isaac, around the virality view stuff, you did a pretty good job at the beginning of your journey, like getting more than 10K on a wait list. Could you unpack us a bit for founders watching us live? What is some tips or a framework, or how did you do it at PikMe?
Be willing to do the stuff that don't scale, which is annoying to hear, but we actually found great growth on LinkedIn, just doing one-to-one outreach. People think that LinkedIn's only for B2B, but everyone's on LinkedIn these days. You type in photographer, you get 1 million results in New York City. If you type in artist, musician, the same things are happening across America. And what I found is making a really personalized message to people through DM messages on Instagram or a LinkedIn connection request. It really goes far when you are able to tell them, oh, I saw this image in your portfolio, or I saw that you're looking to monetize this specific song that you did. And I think not trying to get 1,000 people at once, really trying to get 100 people that really love your mission, get them to share it with 1 or 2 friends, and then that slowly scales the wait list, and then eventually you get people talking about it and kind of doing the work for you.
How do you see the continuance of this within scale and within paid channels?
So paid channels, what I think works best is doing everything organically first, and then taking your best organic content and turning those into ads, obviously reformatting it so that it's more appropriate for an advertisement, but don't just go straight into advertising, because you're going to waste a lot of money there. Figure out what works organically, and that's what's going to speak volumes to people. And then once you understand, okay, this is the best type of content for that audience, then you double and triple down with ads and paying behind it.
Absolutely. Guys, it's been a pleasure. We'll keep the chat going with the drinks. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
We'll be right back. Hello, 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 and we are back with another amazing player of VC and a founder, Gita Mikkel. So much happy to see you here in person, Gita, with you for the first time, and I would love to, for people in front of the screens to know your story and Seed Capital story, because a lot of founders know your firm for like supporting super mega successes like Vivino in consumer space, hello Heini, or like leading 5 companies to the IPO. Please tell us more about yourself and the firm.
Okay, great. Yeah, a little bit about the firm. It's actually a 20-year-old firm, so we've been around for a while. We're on to our 5th fund, and yeah, we have been lucky enough to have a few unicorns as well, out of Denmark, which is fantastic. Our latest is FlatPay, which is now also in the unicorn basket. And yeah, we really sort of come in, as the name states, seed stage. So that's seed capital. We do also do only about 15 to 20 investments in our fund, which really means that we start at seed and then we continue to invest in our successes and the ones that are going onwards. And I think it really gives us an opportunity to see that journey from early founder to, great successes as things go along in a journey. We are also a combination of operators and founders. I was a former CEO of a company called Humio, which we sold to CrowdStrike. And Christian, who is the managing partner, is also was the CEO of Planday. So from that point of view, we like to combine that along with Lars, who's a partner as well, and he's got 20 years of this amazing investment experience, along with the rest of the team, which has brought together this great combo of investment expertise and operators. So
exciting. I would love to unpack more about this journey. Now, Mikkel, to you. You've made a pretty short journey, not so far as Isaac, for instance. You're from Estonia. Please tell us what you're building at Violence.
Yeah, I just got here from Tallinn, but thank you so much for having me. And basically, when we think about personal finance, then the last decade has been about access, just viewing your balance. But we think that the next decade will be about guidance, giving people actual guidance, not just looking at your money, but people want to have a co-pilot that tells them what to do with their money. And Balance is that co-pilot that helps people with that. We connect with all your banks, your loans, your investments, your assets, everything. And our AI just doesn't track your coffee buys. It actually helps you with questions that keep you up at night, like how to plan for my retirement, or can I buy a home? So these questions matter, and we help with that. And it's not just an idea. We have actually 10,000 paying users, and our growth engine is achieving at the moment 130% ROAS in the first 30 days. That means we have a 1 month payback period. So we're basically changing what was managing money into automated financial intelligence. And we're also opening our next round soon.
Good to mention. And regarding that, Gita, most of the founders we work with at Terminal 4, and I am sure a lot of in front of the screens, they are raising either seed or Series A round. And I know an amazing statistics of your fund that more than 70% you supported along the way and were converted to Series A rounds. I'm wondering, in a combination and the partnership of a founder and investor, what do you think are the things that you both should focus on the way from seed to Series A?
So usually when founders come to us, they've gotten some early fit, product market fit, or have a direction, let's just say. It may not be the perfect direction, and it will maybe require some iterations, but they really see a future which can grow. And so what we like to do is come in and sort of define what does it take to go from there, which could be resources, which could be opening new markets, it could be product changes, and all of those things, and how do you do that most effectively. I think a lot of times we look at the startup journey like you have to have it all figured out, and that's never the case. I don't think any company anywhere in the world has it all figured out, even the IPO ones for that matter. So I think it's a great opportunity to really push your kind of teams and be able to really kind of think out of the box to get to the next stage, which usually is at Series A, a much more repeatable, predictable story that the next stage venture funds are looking for. And so, with that understanding, we like to build that with the company. So we do a lot in trying to identify what are milestones, how to achieve them, and what resources are required around, let's say, a particular product or market or area. So, yeah.
Any interesting story about a particular portfolio company that you could share with the audience?
I think there's a lot of wonderful stories. I mean, I've talked about FlatPay quite a bit recently, just because that one has come out. I think, getting a product market fit like FlatPay has is more than just, getting customers to buy your product. It is getting customers to love your product and keep it and keep, using a service or a product. And I think that is incredibly, incredibly hard to do. And I think at the same time, it is also very hard to scale that.
Absolutely.
So those are two things that I think are quite remarkable by that team specifically.
Definitely
us,
agree
so,
with you.
yeah.
Michael, about your recent journey. So I recently come by an amazing, super exciting statistics for your space that for financial mobile apps, the engagement has been growing like rapidly during the last 4 years. Has been like 40-50% year over year. And you've shared with me how you now approach the AI native component of those recommendations and working with the user. Could you unpack this flow with everyone and tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, I think it comes down to what Cate said about just building products that people love, and we really think about personalization. Those metrics are really nice about the industry, but the problem with most financial apps is that they just tell you what happened yesterday and they give you pie charts, and that's not personalization, that is just data. And how we think of it is that we're building this 360 overview of combining your financial life together with your personal context. So that could be like your age, your family situation, your living situation, and your personal financial dreams and goals. So if you put all that together, the AI understands you. It doesn't tell you that you spend 50 euros, but it kind of aligns your spending, your daily spending, with your broader financial goals. So kind of that's how you build a really great product in this space, what we believe.
And what do you think is next? How are you gonna measure the success of such changes?
Well, there are many ways how to measure this. One thing that we're thinking about is this financial health score. In the end, people want to know, how am I doing? Like, one of the most asked questions from our AI is, give me like feedback, how I'm actually doing. Like, be honest with me, like, am I doing good or not? It's really hard to kind of put yourself out there, like, am I good or not? So we want to give you this financial health score that combines everything, all the aspects of your personal finance, and kind of show you how to better that over time. And if we meaningfully can improve this, I think I would be happy, and I think we have succeeded then.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. It's been a pleasure having a chat with you. We'll keep the conversation going with the drinks. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going live back from Helsinki with another amazing pair of guests. Hello, everyone. Hello, Izet. Hello, Elena. How's it doing?
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Fantastic.
We started this SMR club with Filip and Vital. You want to join us? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Guys, I mean, I don't really think that there is someone who doesn't know this too in front of the screen, but in case there are, I will introduce here is Elena. She's a partner at Fly1 Ventures. You see already Vital, here's Elena. And Izet, co-founder of Microblink and Photomath, two legendary startups, and now he's a partner at Silicon Gardens. And as soon as the guys walked in the room, Elena said, I will do the talking, you please stay silent. I will ask you the questions.
It's my usual drill, I guess.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Izet, it's very nice to meet you today. I wanted to actually speak a little bit more about Photomath app and how it was launched initially. You told me a short story about that, so I wonder, can you please elaborate for the podcast?
Yeah, so it's very interesting because Photomath was practically an accidental product where we were sort of trying to showcase the technology we were building in Microblink at the time, which was it ended up to be a great story. Obviously, we practically wanted to, like early on, we were doing computer vision for mobile phones, and we sort of wanted to showcase that at TechCrunch Disrupt in London, 2014, and we did it. The app just exploded tremendously. Like I think it was like 12 or 14 million users in like very short period of time. Guess how much we were charging at the time?
0.
There you go. You got it. So we're almost millionaires at the time. Yeah.
Okay, so but can you elaborate a little bit more? How did it grow so fast?
It grew so fast because I think, first of all, I think it was really good that we were not charging anything at the time because it was half product at the time when we launched. It grew so fast organically because we're solving very concrete problem, or like we're helping kids solve math problems. So that's like very concrete. It's something that, you know, it's very tangible, if you know what I mean. And then word of mouth just works, you know. And if somebody in class found out something, it would just spread, you know. So it was, there was one way, but then another way is that we practically, from the marketing side, we didn't invest anything, but at the same time, there's an interesting story. Shaquille O'Neal was asked, he was spending like $1,000 per week on different apps, and they asked him, okay, which one is your favorite one? And he said Photomath. It was a free app, by the way. As well.
Wow.
Yeah, and that helped us with the reach as well. Another cool story is that the Ellen DeGeneres show in the US, these guys, they loved what we were doing, and they asked us to fly over from Croatia to their TV show. And we're like, we didn't really have the money for it or the funds. So we didn't do it, but we ended up sort of sending our video materials over there where they played it. And my first algebra book is actually on the video itself, and they played it, and she called it the black magic from the devil, and obviously that helped with the promotion of the app as well. You know, you got the visibility out of it as well.
Very interesting. But why did you decide not to monetize it in any way? Like, what was the reasoning behind it back then?
I mean, we did. As I said, we were not happy to be almost millionaires with all the downloads. Mm-hmm. But we figured out that it makes sense to provide more value and more stickiness before you start monetizing. And obviously, later on, within Photomath, we did start to do that after our initial VC investments and stuff. So.
Okay, makes sense. So can you tell a little bit more about your experience with exiting a company? Like, what was the biggest learning from it?
Oh my God, it's
or maybe two.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there are quite a few things. Like for us at both Microblink and Photomath, we're always product focused. So we were focused on really solving like real problems. I think that's very important for the growth of the app. But at the same time, you need to look at what's going on strategically, what's about to be launched. Timing is crucial. So timing is crucial. You need to have a little bit of luck as well. Concretely, like Photomath, if the process with Photomath and Google had started later on, I'm not sure what would happen in terms of the completion of the deal, of the transaction, which, by the way, I cannot really talk about all the details of it. But I do know some companies in the space that went practically, they were public at the time, and they were in the same space, tutoring for math for kids, that dropped from like $100 per to a cent, currently. So that was quite dramatic. So its timing is very important, and the experience with that is crucial, especially with these technological cycles, that are happening. So.
But a lot of founders would ask at this point, like, how do you increase your chances of being lucky, or how do you predict the timing? So what would you advise them?
You need to try out. A/B testing is crucial, especially if you have a big enough number of users. A/B test, try out different things. Make sure you're experimenting enough. We had several large projects that didn't work out, but it's completely fine because we tried out and then we ended up doing something else, and it's that experience that helps out. So luck is very important, but you need to provoke the luck as much as you can, in anything in life, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the biggest topics of, a little bit on a side note, one of the biggest topics of current Slush is that we need to somehow copy the American model in Europe in terms of the exits, in terms of the startup building and other tech related stuff. What do you think about that?
I think Europe needs to be authentic. We need to find our own way. We do need to take the best practices from the US. Obviously, US has been a huge market. I mean, Microblink is currently established in the US. It's out of New York. So we need to utilize the market, but I think it's very important that we keep the authenticity and try to do as much as we can here without the burden of failing. I think often startups, at least in the Central Eastern Europe, it's like if you fail, how do you tell your mom? And then in the US, when you fail, you're like, oh, I had another startup. It's an experience that you've built. And I think that mentality we should take over from the US. The storytelling, I don't buy into too much. Sometimes I can call out bullshit in storytelling, and I prefer the European way in that sense, where you're more moderate, and but you keep on grinding, and you build something very big. So yeah, I mean, those are my sort of views on it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. You become a generational failure in Europe, especially Eastern Europe, if you fail at least at something. But in the US, you are a serial entrepreneur, and everybody wants to invest in your company. So yeah, I totally agree about that. Okay, but what's one thing that, except for the storytelling practices and pitching, that you wouldn't want to see in Europe, from the United States? If any, of course.
I mean, there are some. There are some things I think whatever you're doing needs to bring better to the world, if you know what I mean. So it should not be only transactional and things. So I'm making money. If whatever you do can make the world a better place, I mean, that's something I would focus on, and that's not necessarily something that happens all the time, not only out of the U.S. but out of anywhere in the world. So the greater mission for me is very important. Yeah.
Why did you switch to the dark side?
Oh my God, that's a good question. Very good question.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, the VC world is very interesting for me because it gives me an opportunity to share my experience and then hopefully motivate some of the startups or portfolio companies that we invest in. And it makes me the happiest actually when I see companies like Prepia or the Bible Chat or any of these guys that we invested in that are outperforming my companies. That makes me, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Their growth and the potential is just so phenomenal that it's motivating. Plus with the VC part, you sort of pick your bets and you can focus on many different things where you're not only in mathematics or computer vision or certain subject 100% in. And currently that it drives me. Every once in a while I think that I may have another startup in me, but who knows, we'll see.
Elena, I want to take a last question to you. Same question. What did bring you to VC?
I was never a technical person. One of the things that I was good at is learning complicated things and reading people in general. So I was trying to find something for myself, and I don't come from a very rich background, so I didn't know about a lot of options. But somehow I learned during my exchange program in Helsinki, I learned about venture capital as an industry and startups as an industry. And that's why I started researching, learning a little bit more, and eventually I found myself a job in VC. And I don't actually see myself as a founder. I think compared to the other VCs, it's probably not very conventional way, but I don't see myself as a founder anytime soon or in the future in general. I just want to stick to VC for a long while.
Yeah. Thank you, Helsinki, for making this magic happen. And thank you guys for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
We'll be right back.
Yeah, awesome.
And I talk to myself.
What a wonderful world.
What a get back to the live stream. Hello, everyone. We are back with another amazing VC and the founder. Radim, with such an entrance, you go first. Please introduce what you're building, what was happening right here.
Oh, yeah. So, hello, everyone. Like, growing up, I always loved music very much. So, I imagined myself I would be a rock star on a stage. But the traditional lessons, it felt more like punishment than enjoying music. So I started doing business in music education. I started physical music school, online learning platform. And the latest product that you just saw is the world's first AI music teacher, who's called Arti. We just launched it a few weeks ago. We already have 15,000 students in, and it's doing amazing. So thank you for having me here, and nice to meet you again, Greg.
Amazing story, and we will be back to it after we introduce Filip. Filip, please tell everyone who did not meet you yesterday at the party what you're doing, and tell about your story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting flashbacks to my failed career as a guitarist here, watching that. I have a red guitar electric in my basement at home. I need to pick it up now that I saw that. But Filip from Creandum, European-American venture capital firm. So before Creandum, led product at a company called Passion Fruit, Berlin-based startup in the creator economy, but now investing in both Europe and the US. Early investors in companies like Lovable, Spotify in the music space. So hopefully some more coming out of Europe soon. Klarna to name a few. But super good to be here. Awesome to be here.
Thank you for stopping by. And continuing what Radim is building, I'm wondering, have you been in this space of education and music, the intersection lately after Spotify, I'd say? And what is What are your thoughts about like the new wave of personalization of learning, and what does it take to build your conviction for products like this, for instance?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so we actually have some experience with education at Creandum. So we invested in a company called Kahoot, which was came out of Norway and sort of took the US school system by storm. The basic principle was, right, make learning fun, interactive, turn any moment of learning into a moment for a teacher to shine and students to engage. Since Kahoot, though, the problem with that era is, right, like software was deterministic. So you could only do so many things creatively and only fill the gaps that like wonderful teachers or, music instructors fill. But now all of a sudden, sort of, at least from our perspective, the top's been blown off of like everything you can do now. So when I walked in the room today and Radim showed me the product, I was like pretty blown away because it was another application that I'd seen of AI for education, but I had not seen it like in this multimodal form. That was very impressive. We'll go into it before, but in short, I think the biggest thing is that you can have responsive, iterative, live learning and basically get as close as possible to personalized learning, which was actually not possible before AI.
For such a profile of products, where do you see the intersection of personalization and distribution? How does one part help each other?
You mean like distributing the product, or
correct?
I mean, so you can actually. The neat thing is with a lot of these products, you see them grow pretty fast. So we've been looking a lot at like language learning apps, so Duolingo 2.0 versions, and you see a lot of companies or products that go from like 1 to 6 million ARR solely on meta ads. And the reason, one, is because people love the promise of the product, but two, you can actually, with the personalization in meta ads, do a pretty close handoff between what the ad says and what the product actually does. Whether that's personalizing the language, who you want to speak to, how should your tutor look, all these things go hand in hand, and you get like this cross-funnel conversion that drives, this crazy growth, which just hasn't been possible before. And strangely, like here in Europe at least, we see boatloads of these companies coming from Lithuania, which is pretty cool, just because they have this incredible e-com background, growing, big companies like Kilo Health, NordVPN.
Yeah.
So they distribute any product. We should bring some over to Sweden to help us grow fast too.
Absolutely. Radim, getting back to your story and the problem that you're solving, I'm wondering, so your problem and the motivation goes far back in the past. So why don't you tell how did the market and the user behavior changed in this timeline, and who are the users at this point? How do they behave? How do you build your product strategy on their behavior?
Yeah, well, Greg, you're correct. The problem goes very long time ago when I was 11 actually, and I just wanted to learn songs that I loved. I was listening to Green Day. I didn't want to play Bach or Beethoven, but I was forced to, right? So I hated it. And then growing up and doing these businesses around music education, music school, I found out that a lot of people have actually the same experience. They wanted to play the music they loved from the day one, but they couldn't, right? So but as you said, the time has changed a lot, and in today's world, everyone wants to see like quick results. Everything needs to be super fast and it needs to fit into their lifestyle. So for example, our biggest market right now is in the US, and the problem there is not just that lessons are expensive, like $100 per lesson in San Francisco, but people just don't have the time. They don't have the time to schedule something, go to the teacher. So that's where RT comes in, right? It's super personalized way of learning. It's the closest you can get to the actual teacher experience. And we kind of feel that the product market fit is happening right now, and it feels amazing because we actually built something people love using. They spend more on average 12.5 minutes in one session. So that's the story how it's evolving. People want fast and quick results. They don't want to wait for anything, and it needs to fit their lifestyles and schedules.
Absolutely. It's been a fun talk, guys. We'll keep it going with the drinks. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hello, hello, hello. It's still us from Helsinki going live during Slush, and another amazing tandem of a founder and investor here with me today. Hello, Angela, Oli. Guys, we have a TV here with us, and we just enjoyed seeing us at the TV. Angela, it's such a pleasure to meet you in person. You have such an amazing story, like your personal, and Felix is so interesting firm. I mean, you've been in the intersection of creativity and the tech for so long. You've backed Farfetch, Deliveroo, Peloton, Emmy Paris. Please tell us more about yourself and the firm.
Sure, yeah. So I'll start with Felix. We're a London-based fund, obviously. We manage $1.2 billion. We started the journey about 10 years ago, actually exactly 10 years ago in 2015. And so far we've invested that money into 65, 70 companies. About 10% of them are in the US and the rest are in Europe. And yeah, in Europe it's a pretty pan-European mix. We have basically most of the countries. And I think what they have in common is this kind of intersection between creativity and technology, like you said. So oftentimes they touch quite large consumer categories, like new ways to shop, new ways to live, new ways to get around town, new ways to educate ourselves, etc. So we invest usually from Series A onwards. We've done a few seed investments here and there, and we can be there until they go public.
Wonderful. Oli, pleasure to see you in person. We've been in touch for a while. You've been through the program and now you're here. And for the first time I heard your story, why you started Valerie, is one of those who got me deep. So please share it with Angela and everyone in front of the screens.
Sure, thank you. I'm Oli. I'm the co-founder of Valerie. Valerie is an unflinchingly real women's wellness brand whose mission it is to liberate women to live fully and freely when they're in perimenopause. The reason why I founded the company was through my mum's lived experience. So when she was 42, she was misdiagnosed with depression. There was no conversation with her GP as to why, when she presented the symptoms that she did, why she was feeling the way she was. And his knee-jerk reaction was to prescribe antidepressants, and they made it feel even more worse. So I set upon a mission to develop a product suite of supplements, and we're soon moving into health tech to empower and liberate women to feel much better and not go through the same experience that my mum did.
Thank you so much for building Valerie. And Angela, I want to touch the topic of distribution, because you've been, before you turned into VC, you've been at Meta, you've been at eBay. And what do you think are the best practices for frameworks, concepts that can be brought from a pure consumer software to D2C companies?
Yeah, so I think actually all of these companies, they've had quite different distribution strategies. So I think I would compare maybe the Meta and the eBay with some of these consumer brands in our portfolio. I think before distribution, there's a few things that need to happen. Obviously, the product needs to work. If it doesn't work, people don't repurchase. And two is, I think there has to be a genuine story, like what you were saying. There is a kind of real incident that's happened that you can kind of feel empowered to pursue for quite a long period of time. I think those are two things that you can't really lie about. When it comes to distribution, I think the best examples that I've seen from both eBay and Meta, but also in our portfolio companies, is really your customers becoming your salespeople, becoming the best advocate. We call it customer love. So it's this index that's, obviously a lot of numbers like retention, engagement, sales, CAC, all these things. But I think at the end of the day, it's really this kind of qualitative assessment of whether the love is there.
Yeah.
And so eBay Meta, obviously I think that turned into network effects. So that I think in the consumer tech world, that is customer love becomes network effect. In the D2C or in the consumer space, I think it becomes, it's lived on every part of your branding and ways your customers interact with you, in the retail store, on your Instagram, your TikTok. I actually spend a crazy amount of time on Instagram just looking at what are the customers saying, who's tagging them, what are the comments, till the point where I feel the algorithm can't tag me anymore. They don't know if I'm a guy or a woman, they don't know if I'm old or young, I just get targeted everything. But really kind of immersing ourselves in the world of the customer and the brand is the core to what we do.
Absolutely. And to that said, Oli, I'm wondering, you're an experienced marketer. You've been growing the consumer brands for quite a few years. And tell us, what was the biggest discoveries or some new things for you that you've discovered as a marketer in the female tech industry, in the female health especially? Maybe there are some particular cases or wins that you had to this point.
Yeah, sure. So perimenopause is potentially the biggest blind spot in women's health. So 65% of women actually start perimenopause in their 30s. So education is at the core of what we're trying to achieve, which obviously becomes very expensive. It's for disruptors and challengers, you always have to educate, but even on a macro level, we're educating a population that this stage of a woman's life can actually happen much earlier than she was previously taught. So that's one thing. And then educating the consumer who we're then trying to acquire and get to adopt our content, join our thriving community, to your point, which then has a halo effect for driving future acquisition through word of mouth and referral. That's been a massive learning for us. The way that we're kind of overcoming that is, at the beginning when we launched the business, it was very much a meta first acquisition strategy. Meta is still at the core of what we do, but there are so many different touch points to try and shorten that consideration phase. So now we do in real life retreats, we host raves during the day for our women to come in, we call them our wild women, so they come and join and have a dance, and that kind of human connection that connects people, that so they don't feel like lost and trying to navigate this experience on their own. They come together, we get out the way, that's true community in my opinion, so that they can communicate with one another, share their experiences. And then of course we do have a revenue generating product, which is our supplements. Now, there's a lot of skepticism, not only for this consumer, but more broadly in supplements, like there's less regulation. So it's very important for us that when we were innovating, we used a format that had clinically proven research performed on, it's a nanotechnology that we use called liposomal, and the bioavailability and therefore the absorption rate of those nutrients is much, much better than if you were going to take the same nutrients in a pill or a powdered format. So with the content, community building, and then this clinically proven supplement format, that's like our revenue generating flywheel. And then, as I said, in the future we'll be developing home diagnostics and also integrating telehealth to better serve the consumer and generate, from a commercial perspective, more lifetime value further down the line.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing it. And guys, that's a wrap for the first part of our podcast. Just a fresh reminder that's been brought to you by Terminal 4, Fly1 Ventures, Meta, Oyster, and SolidGate. And we'll be right back with my partner in crime, Tania. Cheers.
Hello and welcome, guys. You're not seeing Greg just because this is not Greg. This is Tania from Terminal 4. But we continue our podcast, actually, or show, or just a classical, usual conversation almost at the bar. So just for your information, we basically have a bar out there and people are talking, mingling, a lot of amazing investors and startups coming from everywhere. But I just remind you that this show, let's say that you're watching, is organized by Terminal 4. We are a startup ecosystem operating in the consumer space. We have different programs with guys like Mattr or Snap for founders building something in B2C or marketplaces. So those products that we as consumers love and use. And also we have amazing partners for today's podcast, which is Claremont Ventures, which is Meta, Solidgay, and Oyster. And I'm gonna start with actually Oyster, because we have Elvin here from this amazing product, but also we have Lamis from Riser, one of the startups that just finished the latest cohort of our Startup Academy. So, hello guys and welcome.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, good.
You're good, you're good. I would love to talk with you about all things connected to hiring, to talent, and then to really building and scaling international teams, because I'm sure you're best of the best in this space to talk about. Like, we have some really breakout new products as Riser, and we have great solution in the market for some time. So I want to start with you, and I want to ask you what's special about Riser. Just tell us in a couple of words.
Sure. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful vibe and environment here. In real life, definitely always wins. Riser, in its simplest form, is like a dating app, but for careers. And the easiest way to think about how the app would work is you download it, and instead of uploading a text CV or resume or a text job description, which is all written by AI these days, you upload a video. And what our AI will do is it will read that video to understand a person's context, not just skills and experience, which can be keyword driven or self-proclaimed. I'm a team player with problem-solving skills. Actually, we want to understand an individual's behavior and attributes, because that's really the positive indicator for success in a role. So yeah, we've been live for 18 months now across the UK, Europe and the US, and we recently closed our pre-seed round. So yeah, super exciting times.
Amazing. I'm going to pass the floor to you and ask you, since you're working with so many clients, but like startups or more established companies, what do you see the most significant challenges that they might face when they are building international team, maybe from the operational perspective or overall, hiring and keeping the great teams together?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me. And yeah, that's a common challenge actually when companies start growing internationally. Like, they want to build teams all over the world, which makes sense, and it's a great intention, but they need to do it smartly and they need to understand how they can do it. And there are many aspects they need to take into consideration, like compliance, payroll, providing employee benefits, and that's where tools like Oyster help them, because it's not realistic for one company, like for one HR team, to know the employment regulations all over the world. So that's why they need to rely on other companies like Oyster who can help them, and that's what we do. So when our clients contact us and ask about, like, for example, instead of setting up entities, which costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time to set up entities, like, how can we do it quickly and scale globally? And yeah, that's the main challenge that they face, like understanding the compliance, running payroll in different places with different currencies, of course. So that's the most common challenge for them.
Yeah. Can I ask some harsh question, both of you, actually? When we're talking about startups, so, pretty young teams who trying to survive, first of all, and then build something great. And we have, a couple of months ago, there was Sam Altman said, Meta offered OpenAI staff and engineer or something, $100 million and bonuses or whatever. And we have these huge companies, corporations hiring as well, the same market, the same specialist. what would you recommend, or what could be this advantage for startups? So the best talents come into them and building together with them. Because I know, like in Riser, you mentioned a lot of different companies with potential employees, and you also see there's like trends. How do they win those startups?
Want to take first?
You want to say, yeah?
I'll be careful not to stay on my soapbox here, but I think what's really important for SMBs and startups is they don't necessarily have the budget, right, for 12 to 25% recruiter fees, or they may not even have an ATS system at this point. But what they do have is purpose, and they have vision. And so how do you communicate that to a talent pool of people that want to come and join this company? And actually video is the way to do that. It's the most authentic form of communication in the world that we live in today, because we've commoditized the written word with AI. That's not a bad thing. I think AI is going to do a ton of great stuff for us, but it's the human plus AI that becomes our superpower. Reid Hoffman said it himself. And so I think when startups are thinking about how they find their talent, it's about standing out. And what we've built is a way for them to stand out at scale, to find talent globally in places that maybe they hadn't thought of before. And I actually think that's what I love about you guys at Oyster is, one of our missions is no matter whether you're in San Francisco or Sarajevo, you should be able to have access to opportunity. And I think, not just putting it out there now because I'm a manifester, but a potential partnership could be quite exciting from a top of funnel sourcing and human discovery aspect with your merchant of record incredible system. Pairing those two would provide like a best-in-class experience to an SMB.
No, definitely agree.
That's what we are doing in this SOFA, basically matchmaking, investors and founders and like our partners and founders. That's what we love to do. But yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, well, of course, it's more challenging for growing startups to stand out because obviously enterprises pay more salary. They have, let's say, their logos are more common in the market, so many talent want to join these companies and want to work there. But the way growing startups can stand out is providing a value, mission, and clear vision. Because many people, especially young generation, wants to join organizations that walk the talk, not the ones that see their workforce as cash. So if growing startups provide clear value, many young talented people want to join this organization. So they need to have a clear strategy around how they can attract these people, how they can attract especially young generation, as you mentioned, all over the world, not just in major tech hubs like London, Bay Area, New York, or these common places.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, just to tap onto that, I worked in startup for pretty much all of my career, and finding talent was one of my biggest pain points, which is kind of why Riser was so important. But actually being able to identify talent, as you say, who are coming out of universities or hubs that aren't London, New York, was so important. And the talent is phenomenal. It's just about finding them. So any advice to small companies is actually just go against what you think might be the way to hire and try something new, because I think you'd be incredibly surprised.
How do you think to maintain this like motivation? So there's a great vision of a startup and the young talent is joining. What could be the from your experience, practices to keep them in? Like giving them stocks or like giving them a broader opportunity to quickly grow or something. So when they're inside, especially when they're like coming from across the globe, and the team is such an international, small community, what would you recommend?
In my opinion, at least from my own experience, the most important thing is flexibility, giving people flexibility, trusting them, and recognizing what they do.
Like working from the ocean beach near the Lisbon?
Flexibility isn't only about that, being able to choose what time you want to work is really important, especially, for example, not customer-facing teams. They should be able, like some people, for example, perform better during night. And if they can work on project at night and they don't have to collaborate with their teams, why not give them this flexibility? Let them work when they perform better.
I love that. I actually had one of the videos that came in onto the app, I think this was last week, was one of the best videos I'd ever seen. He had the best hook, so he made me scroll stop, and I watched his video. He gave me the context and the validation for the companies that he'd worked for before, but told me what he actually did for them. And then he made it clear that actually he's got ADHD. And so he prefers to work in a quieter environment. And I was like, oh my God, you're hired. Like, he made it clear to me what he needed to be successful, and I would give you that. I think also to your question, like what do people need in these young companies to stay motivated? I do think skin in the game is really important, and I don't think I learnt that until midway through my career when shares were an option. Don't know if it's appropriate for this podcast, but I was just in America for the last month, and talking of skin in the game.
Oh, what is? Whoa, wow! It's a rocket tattoo.
It's the rocket riser. So yeah, I've actually got skin in the game. But I think I don't recommend everybody gets tattoos of the company they work for. But I do think having some form of feeling like you're part of the vision, feeling like you're part of the company, will make you feel like you're in it for the long haul.
Such an important, guys. Thank you so much. I love this conversation, such chill and easy. And I now wanted to have a tattoo. I postpone this every time. Like maybe this time in Helsinki. Maybe I'll have a tattoo in Helsinki. Thanks a lot. Please have some drink conversation at the bar. Say hi to other guys who are not recorded yet. And yeah.
Thank you so much.
See you in an hour.
We will.
Okay, friends, so we're gonna be back soon, and we're gonna have another pair of wonderful people joining in our podcast. And we are back, baby. So we have right now together with me two gentlemen. So we have Ignacio, who is a partner at Boost Capital Partners. You have a lot of partners actually there. So we also have Jan from Fresh 32. 32
Hey.
because of the number of tooths, right? That
Yes,
we have.
exactly.
Amazing, which is like super logical, right, guys? So I want to talk to you about the scaling consumer startup, of course, for sure, guys. And I'm going to start with you, Jan, because what you have is just show to our audience. We have a toothbrush here. Tell me about what's special about this small thing.
Yeah, so working in the industry for the last few years, we have identified that three key problems with toothbrushes. One is material. Nylon bristles are often very harsh and abrasive, also often leading costs towards bleeding gums. All toothbrushes are non-recyclable, and the big brands are targeting millennials through retail.
So you changed it. Super nice looking.
Yeah.
I know you won a lot of design awards and you have endorsement from dentists and you're like superstar in this space, which is great. Tell me about what's the hardest part of scaling the consumer, but the hardware. Basically, so what's the most challenging?
Probably navigating between allocating resources between stock and market spend, but in general, in the hype of AI investments, currently it's the biggest challenge to raise money.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna talk about this. Actually, Ignacio, the time that I want to ask you, what about raising the money for startups? Well, what's the advice? But I know you have a pretty special vision from the investor side on what you're looking at when you are thinking about investing, especially in the consumer startup, especially in their early days, because when they are growing, you see the metrics, you see great retention, everything is going on well, so this is more easier. But what about if we are thinking about, like, you see Fresh 32, young guys, raised in their like first or second round, right? So what you're looking at?
Well, first of all, if I take a step back, Boost Capital is a $40 million fund. We invest in early stage companies. We are based in the UK. We have 25 companies in the portfolio, and we do look at companies in very, very early stages, like meaning pre-revenue and already like first metrics. And I guess that we were discussing this before coming in, but we look at four things when we look at a company. We look primarily at that team, which is, it sounds very cliche, but the reality is that the team is the most important thing that you can focus on, especially in early stages. Then we look at the market. Is it a market that is growing and is large enough? And then we look at the product. Do they have anything already to show? Do they have metrics? What's the business model? And finally, we look at the round details. We look at how much they're fundraising, what's the valuation, who is in the cap table, and so on and so forth, right? But if I focus, like the decision at this stage is typically 70% based on the team. And when we look at the team, we look at the number of things. But what we are trying to figure out is whether that team has an unfair competitive advantage. And why? Because typically we are already seeing great teams, like a lot of talent, very smart people building a product with experience, with a lot of vision and ambition, right? So you already have those elements when they reach the stage that they're talking to us. So the goal is to find out whether that team has something that is unique, that make them successful in a world that is extremely competitive. Because there's no market, there's no blue oceans. And nowadays, you're competing in a very competitive world, a globalized world where everything is already seen, and we see a lot of the same business models trying to tackle the same problems in a different way, perhaps, but like a lot of people trying it. And so what you're trying to identify is whether that team has something unique, and that is what we call unfair competitive advantage. Obviously, we want to work with teams that we get along with them, we can trust, we can build a relationship, we can help each other, and so there's a lot of elements, and also ethically and morally that they share the same principles. But ultimately it comes down to whether that team will have a competitive advantage.
What is it, the competitor advantage? Like, maybe a couple of examples.
Yeah, I can give you some. It doesn't have to be, sometimes people think that is you have a very long experience or you have a technology that is very different and unique, or patents. The reality is that it has to be something unique. It could be you want it more than anyone else, right? And sometimes the teams that succeed are not the ones that are better prepared, are the ones that simply, they just pushed further and they want to go and keep working, so more resilient. It could be that. It could be they have a fresh look at the problem and they're coming from outside, right? And this is in consumer is particularly interesting because consumer is an industry where outsiders can build companies and be successful because they come with a fresh look, a different way of doing things. Perhaps it's a generational aspect, and so you're a Gen Z and you understand a problem that millennials or previous generations they don't understand. So I think that is what we're trying to find out. Is it the resilience? Is it could be the experience? Is it the technology? Is it the fresh look? Something that tells us that you have that competitive advantage.
Okay. Sounds great. I want to ask Jan you about the scaling, actually. So when we're thinking about the successful consumer businesses, it's always about product and distribution. So let's say you have a great product, right? And I know you have a production in Slovenia, you have everything, and you started from Slovenia, and now you're going through this, scaling stage. And what about distribution at this point? Like, what's a couple of things would you recommend other founders? Because we are learning from other founders usually. If we're thinking about distribution, especially consumer hardware, which is more complicated, what's your vision?
I mean, a lot of nowadays brands...
Let's kiss the mic.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of nowadays brands are ordering products from China. And I think that we have so much knowledge and potential in Europe, and there is no transport. You can have lean structure of stock. So I would suggest to them that they can find the suitable partners that are able to produce their products locally and also to support local economy. And also if you are looking at across the border in today's environment, it is really hard to expect all the time leads if you're expecting goods from the other side of the world.
So are you communicating this, your kind of maybe it's advantage for your customers that you have local production, let's say in European Union here, customers love that or they don't care?
I mean, it's getting there. I think that more and more people appreciate having products made in Europe because of platforms like Temu that have flooded the European markets, and I think that the mindset of consumers is switching back to local and European products.
Yeah, I want to do some like a case study here right away for our founders watching. So, Ignacio, if you would, for the first time, see Jan. So, what's your, like, the question, maybe a bit tricky, but also super, important for you to ask right away that would help you to understand what's the founder in front of you and what's special about him?
Well, I think I asked you this already before, but my first question was, why are you building this product?
Okay.
Why are you in the business of building toothbrushes or tooth products? And yeah, what will make you stop working on those if tomorrow someone comes with an offer or you decide to do something else, or something like, I don't know, you go bankrupt. But yeah, why are you doing this, and what will make you stop?
That's a good question. Why are we doing this, the whole team and my co-founder? Because I think that we all love the consumer space, and with the toothbrushes, there hasn't been any big innovation since 1938, when nylon bristle toothbrush was invented. So I think there is a space for a new product on the market. And at the end of the day, if what the question was, if the offer comes, I think it's too early to even think about that, because we are all excited about the following years, about the scale phase, opening new markets, and I think that this is even more important to have like probably lifetime experience to establish the startup than just rather to sell it early in the early phase.
Wonderful, friends. Thanks a lot for this conversation. I think, Ignacio, will have a small present. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have it. Yeah.
You already have it. Okay. So
yes.
This is an ad. Yeah, this is a promotion, and we're proud of that because this is our alumni. What could we do else?
I'm a proud customer of Fresh 32,
yeah.
And I've learned something today. 1938, the year that they created the toothbrush, the nylon toothbrush. So yeah, very nice to meet you, to be here. Thank you.
Very nice to have you guys. Thank you. And we're gonna be back just in a couple of minutes with another great speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
Okay, here we go again. I have ladies with me today. We're gonna talk about products that both in a digital and both in a like offline real life space. because that's what about the product and the startup that we have in our recent cohort. And hi, Sila from After 5. And here we have also with us our partners, great friends, Tilda from Dreamcraft. And we actually gonna start from After 5. So, Sila, what I want to ask you, I know that you and Nina, your co-founder, you've built this product, you're going to tell us about it, but just because there was something that you were passionate about, tell us about After 5 and tell us about like what motivates you continue that once you face this, business challenges, not just like a hobby, but the first real startup journey.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Tania, for having me. Super excited to be here. So, I'm Slam, the co-founder of After 5. We are building in real life friends-making platform for women. Basically, like we connect women over one as a group with our AI engine, and everything happens in real life. We help them to create new friendships. And the reason why we are keep building is that the core of what we are doing is that the human connection is just so important, and it affects your lifestyle, well-being, health, happiness just so deeply. It's the reason why we've been building After 5, and we will continue to do it as well.
Yeah, I know that you have around 50K connections, real life connections. That was oh my god, this is too much. Like people met in person in real life. Okay, this is wonderful. I want to ask you, Mathilde. So you know the story, like two friends, they came up with some idea. Let's build something that we love. They start from the offline and took it to the next level on the digital platform. So what would you say if you're thinking about like when founders, they come in from solving their own problem to building something big? How would you look at that as an investor? It's like green red flag for you. It's like, what's your opinion on that?
I mean, we love to see the passion, and I think when founders have experienced the problem firsthand, there's always a lot of passion. So I think that's a great start. So definitely not a red flag at all. Then I think it's super important for us to see founders that can go beyond like the problem that they have personally face and build something that can scale. So for example, here I'm thinking like beyond, like in different cities with potential like different cultures, different language and so on. And for that it's super important to see basically the love of the community, for example, in those different cities. So I think it's a great start, but it's probably not enough, and it's really cool when we see founders that start with a problem that they face themselves, but really go beyond, like listen to their users, listen to how people use the product, use the platform, and adapt to that feedback as well, so it can really scale.
Do you have a Dreamcraft portfolio? Let's maybe talk about this.
Yes.
Some great examples from your portfolio, so people get to know, better who are those companies that you're backing. You just get introduced, but then I'll ask something else about them.
Yeah, so I can introduce Dreamcraft quickly. We're an early stage fund based out of Copenhagen, investing all across Europe. Investing out of the fund 2, 68 million euro, quite generalist approach, but we do have a sweet spot for what we call digital entertainment topic. So that include a lot of gaming, sports, media tech investment, and for example, one of the portfolio company that we have here is a Bowler League, which is a sport, kind of like a new way to do football in a shorter format, much more interactive and so on, which is also like a physical experience. It's actually like leagues with football match being played out and so on in different stadium, and not stadium actually, it's indoor football. But that's one of our portfolio company, which is a cool example of our thesis there.
Yeah, so the After 5 is actually community-based, community-first platform. And when you have 100 people in the community, you could take a look and say okay, I have community.
Yeah.
But then when you have thousands and thousands of your users, your customers, you don't know what's the community magic and if that's happening. So I would like maybe to ask Mathilde you, and then we'll ask Sila as well from the founder perspective. But let's start with you. How do you measure and how would you look at this community effect and this community as the base for building the startup like that?
Yeah, it's super important. I think some metrics that we would look is kind of like repeat, for example. So here, if it's some physical event, from what I understood, it's like, okay, how often people go back? If they try one event, do they go back in already like twice, 3 times a month? I mean, depending on, of course, how many events you're hosting, and then kind of like referral. Do they tell all of their friends about it? And where is your growth coming from? Is it organic? Do you have to pay for part of it? I think all of those things basically measure like to what extent it's not only how many people you have on the platform, but to what extent they are engaged and they love the product so much that they are willing to refer it to their friends and so on. So those metrics, it's also like the quality of your community in a sense, which is super important early on when you don't have monetization, for example, yet, and you don't have a huge volume. That also will allow you at some point to monetize it.
Like engagement, then retention, then when you monetize it, like revenue retention, and you look at that, I would say retention is a king for consumer products. So still, what are you doing to still keeping people together, make them being excited about After 5?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, what you're doing to build up the retention, basically, make people come back and really enjoy the platform, the connections.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, like, what we do is that actually we use data a lot. So, like, we really want to learn a lot about this person, where they are at, their challenges, goals, background, like what they're into, their hobbies, and so on. So, we actually help them to connect different circles. So, it can be about your occupation, it can be about your interest, it can be about your marital status, and so on. And it's the reason why actually 75% of our monthly participants are returning users. So we actually see a great retention in our platform because we are not another social tool that you just go and connect. We are actually like a community that you can also create belonging to and also come more and more, contribute differently and so on, because this is also a great time for it. Unfortunately, we are in the loneliness epidemic. And it's just so important to, connect with like-minded people. And not only this, but create also meaningful connections and deeper connections as well. So we are helping women to create it even more than once, twice, 3 times.
That's amazing. Thanks for doing that. And I'm happy that you're sitting so close, like really tight connections. So that's what we want to do. And then in this podcast as well. It was an amazing conversation. Matilda, please say hi to Copenhagen. I'm totally in love with Copenhagen.
It's a great city.
I'm going to be back and I think that would be May. So hope to
perfect
see you.
Timing. You're avoiding the 6 months of dark and gloomy days.
We're in Finland, I'm not really avoiding this.
Yeah, true.
Thank you, ladies. Would love to see you in half of an hour or something for a drink.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Thank you.
By drink, I usually mean kombucha. But we'll just grab something that you would love to. Okay, friends, we're gonna be back soon.
Okay.
Hello and welcome again. I hope you guys grab some drink and and ready to continue. I have two amazing guests. So I have Oleksii here, partner at Fly1 Ventures, so we're great friends. And we also have Anh here from actually Wolt and previously Wargaming as well. VP of Marketing, gonna talk a bit about marketing and everything around that as well. So friends, I'm probably gonna start with the questions to you. So we know Wolt, like amazing, huge company, so spread it across different markets. How to build this, I'd say, loyalty, excellence, brand presence, and everything else around, you know, the brand that people love across so many markets with the different, you know, backgrounds, culture, and everything.
Yeah. I think you're kind of highlighting the main key hyper-local elements of our brand. So I come from mobile games before, where the brand become like a global brand. So all of the audience from everywhere, they can just access to the mobile games, the games and so on. For Wolt itself, the product is actually the brand and is reflecting from our hyper-local operation that we have in the country. So the people who live in Warsaw we're probably perceiving Wolt brand a bit differently from people who living in Budapest, who living in Berlin, who living in Helsinki. And that's a kind of like challenge, but also the opportunity that we managed to build with the Wolt brand to that point, that like focusing on that sort of a hyper-local approach, building the team, building the operations, that supporting from the global to be able to build the, let's say, the scalability, but having the like local talent to be able to really like enabling the local voices. And the success metric for us is actually if the people who live in any cities that Wolt operate believe that Wolt is actually coming from their country and their city, that is a success for us. It's not like, okay, Wolt is actually a Nordic brand that coming. We never actually want to advertise that. We're actually trying to make it as local as possible. And if people believe that actually Wolt is coming from my country, it's actually that's what's success for us when it comes to the marketing.
I want to ask about some maybe ridiculous, super interesting examples. What's the difference in some markets or countries? How you localize? Maybe some, you know, like the polar example, which is super, you know, different sides.
Yeah. We have a lot of. I have like a lot of stories for that, but I think localization doesn't go just like translating an English word to a local language. It's go beyond that. So the obvious one, for example, in the Nordic, like the language can be like pretty short. So when you try to building like the content, it's pretty generic, it's universal, it's Western look. You go into the Southern Europe, you need to have a bit more context of what kind of content you want to build. You go to Japan, like, I don't know, like tons of words. So it's because of the high context cultures. So we actually try to have a local team always to take a look at like the content, the master content itself, and trying to really like localizing it in to fit into the culture approach. If the Japanese team say that, hey, we need to have like this many text, we need to like toning down the color here, we need to move the logo there, we're going to make it happen. If the Nordic team say that actually it doesn't matter, you can just go whatever you want, the way that we have built here is fine, but like that's how we actually localizing it.
I have one more small question and then I come to you.
I also have a small follow-up question.
I mean, that's a lot of things to ask. Sure. You go again.
So you've mentioned that you scale the team and you have this very localized, hyper-localized approach. As the early stage fund, I think it's not a dilemma to state that team is always the core. Team is always the most important thing you think about. And when we were talking there, you mentioned that when you joined, the team was just tiny and you scaled it massively. So can you walk us through the whole number of total number of employees of Wolt and your team when you joined and where it's now, and how you did it, because it's mind-blowing.
I know the number. Okay, but maybe it's even bigger.
I'm just a small part of the bigger operations. So when I joined, the company was just launched beyond the Nordic. So it was about 210, 220 people globally. And I was one of the first marketeers. We do have like some local marketeer, but I was one of the first and being hired. And nowadays, the company itself is about 15,000 globally.
It's even more than
And our marketing team is almost 300 So the marketing team is bigger than the company
when you
size
join.
that when I joined.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a big team, but I think it goes back to the earlier point that I brought up, is that if you truly want to hyper localize your brand, your operations, that's a cost. And when you do it right, like you actually become a whole, like a homegrown brand. You become a people daily life, and that's the beauty of it. It's actually like not. I'm not just talking about like 5% of the people who should be my customer. Everyone on the street, everyone in the city can be my customer. That's what success looks like. That's what success would be.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So basically, those people in a team, in the marketing team, most of them, they're actually there because you need to know the local content, to have more people who could really focus on some market.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a local operation, and there's also a global team that building like the media buying, building the marketing tech stack, building like the CRM, the marketing automations, that's supporting the country.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a hybrid setup that you have a global team that's supporting some of the country.
Yeah.
You have the country team that don't have to do a media buying because you have a global team that's doing it for you, embedded in your team. So you can actually focusing on local activations. So we actually, like the team, for example, in Sweden, we have Wolt featuring in one of the very popular TV series. In Finland, we actually just announcing that we're going to partner with one of the Eurovision rock star carrier.
Wow.
That we're going to help him to be to launch the world tour. Like if you are not in the country, if you don't have the people who know all of that, you won't be able to make that happen.
No way.
I would be some guy who's just sitting in Helsinki and telling everyone, okay, let's just hiring like the most popular American Hollywood rock star and just trying to get them to be globally.
Yeah.
It's not relevant to where we want it to be.
But short follow-up: how do you keep the?
I love that.
How do you keep the culture consistent? Because when you scale company from your team, particularly from 20 to 300 people, there are a lot of changes. So how do you approach culture and hiring? How do you think about it?
And we want to have the mic a bit closer, like almost kissing it. Amazing, yeah.
Almost kissing it, yeah. So I think Wolt as a very strong Nordic influent cultures, even though I think that was something that I loved when I joined. So very transparent, very data driven. The kind of people that when they join, they normally go to like the onboarding process, and they kind of like embrace like the kind of company value. So will to learn, will to teach. Those are one of the 5 or 6 kind of values that we have back in the day. So everyone kind of like walk through, and they learn it through like all of this sort of a builder story that the company have. So when you talk about it, people actually feel that I joined them, and I don't just hearing the value from some word that's written in the word. Actually, it's tied to a story. And the way that you act, the way that you hire, we are probably one of the most demanding company when it comes to hiring. We have a lengthy hiring process, and it's worse 7 years ago when I joined, it's still the same. And sometimes I always have to say sorry for the candidates who go to, like, probably they have spoken with half of the people in my team and they still not getting hired, but we want to do it. We want to have the right person. So with that kind of like culture value from the company, getting the right kind of like hiring process, you want to make sure the next person that hire would go into representing the kind of value and the way that you want the team to be.
Cool.
That's how we want to build this sort of a great team.
That's great. That's super nice. Thanks for sharing, Oleksii. Can I be a moderator for a second and finally ask you a question, because I want to ask you something. So I know back then you were at Genesis as well, right, and you were in the beginning of actually building companies that right now like 200 mil ARR, so quite big brands. But right now you're investing also in companies like around 100 in the portfolio already.
Yeah.
Did you see any sort of shift in go-to-market strategy or like any tactics compared to a couple of years ago and right now, especially in consumer, but not only space?
Yeah, sure. So first, I would say that at Fly1 we invest not just only in consumer but also B2B, so that part a little bit excluded. On the consumer, I think it goes to the core of content creation, because when we were building companies at Genesis, we were calling this content manufacturing, because there is like a plant, you have different stations, you have different people doing different parts of the job, and especially it goes down to the video content, because you need to shoot a lot of stuff with live people, etc. These days, first of all, for the product themselves, the bar is never was easier to enter. The barrier is as low as possible. Even me, as a VC now, can do some stuff throughout the weekend, which is bonanza. For the content, is pretty much the same. There is just a creative mind and some Sora to Veo, just name any tool, and you can go forward with it. So I think that for Genesis days, it was just harder to start. These days, as a startup of 5 people, you already can do a lot because the tooling has changed massively. First, second, on the distribution side, we talk about Google, we talk about Meta, we talk about new tools like SEO, moving from Google basically to LLMs, etc. They advanced so much because, I mean, there is algorithm, that's sort of a black box, but 7 years ago they were working nearly no close as good as it's working now. So it's just more efficient and you have all the tools in your hands to move forward.
But it's harder to scale since we have so many businesses appear on the market and then they're competing for attention of the users. So what would you say in terms of scaling? What could be this unfair advantage? What to take a look at and what to really apply to be better and faster?
So I think there are 2 things. First, people talk a lot about it, but just number of people do this. Just talk to people, talk to your customers. The whole knowledge is there. If you're stuck, you just need to talk more. If you don't do this, it's probably the largest mistake companies do, and that's the reason I believe why there is no product market fit for most of them, because they're focused on solution that is in mind of a founder and not in a real problem of a real customer. So at first on people, second, just being creative. I think just copycat of all these ads on the marketplace doesn't really work. You have to be creative. On my way here, I saw on LinkedIn the promotion of new movie with Timothée Chalamet. And there
Which
was
one?
I don't recall.
Remember?
Yeah, but probably not that good, you see, but that's probably to my memory. And they shoot it as a Zoom call record of a marketing team about this movie, and Timothy was just pitching this new film, etc.
Cool.
And they made an amazing ad from it. It's just super understandable format that anybody here in this room can relate. It's more touchy than this multi-million campaign that there is somewhere from Hollywood, somewhere in this world. So yeah, just be creative.
I remember one ad in Warsaw that I saw from Netflix because they launched this Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
And there was a huge banner telling like Frankenstein is the name of scientist, not the creature. And I was like, what? It was like,
yeah.
Who's your audience? I mean, but that was such a catching thing. So everybody was like, what stupid thing? But so totally agree on the creative side. I want to just maybe switch this moderation part because I love how you ask the question. And I want to ask Oleksii one question to finish.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about asking about when you're mentioning about the product market fit.
Right.
As a VC, how do you evaluating product market fit nowadays? Considering that there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Because the tooling is getting easier.
True.
That means there's more products.
True.
In the market comparing to what it used to be. So how do you see the good from the bad?
Yeah.
How do you see the good from the great?
Yeah. Amazing question. So there is a JP, general partner of Founders Fund, then he already moved back to Hostler Ventures, Cate Lawrence, and he always asked the question, what is anomalous metrics of your company? What is anomalous in your company? And it usually goes, since we invest during pre-seed stages, it's just the early adoption, it's just some first conversions, something with core action that people just stick with it. And it shouldn't be in the monetization because we oftentimes don't have it. But this first activation, conversion to activation to repetitive core action is just anomalous high conversion of it. Today I was at the speech by Max from Legora. Legora is legal tech AI firm. So I'm apology for the wording, but when he was pitching the product to one of the legal firms, the managing director of the firm, it feels if we are not signed up, we're fucked. And that's it, obviously. And if you look at the activation rate of Ligora, it's just 2 times larger than any other startup in a space from that category. So this activation is usage early on is already a strong signal for it.
Oh my God, that was such a nice conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
People are asking me, my team, could we get other, speakers to the table? I was like, yeah. But guys, I would love to continue after. Grab some drink. Thanks a lot for joining. Really enjoyed it, and see you soon.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you.
Wow, that was fun.
Oh my God, I can't believe we have the last session and the last pair of speakers, but I think I was waiting for it for so long. So I'm so happy you're here, ladies. So we have here with me Sophia from Lovable, all around growth and community, super well connected to the ecosystem, and we have the legend of journalism in Europe, Cate, with us. And I'm thinking that I see you everywhere, at every single conference.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. How do you do in Helsinki? The best, the worst conference?
This is literally the last conference of the year for me.
Yeah.
I've had a few other offers, and I'm just this is my hard stop.
Yeah.
The last 10 weeks I've been traveling for 8.
And then,
so,
oh my God, and that's Christmas. Let's kiss the mic a bit, almost there.
A bit closer?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Amazing. Now I can hear you well. Okay. Sophia, how are you?
I'm good. I've had such a good time at Slush. Met so many incredible founders, investors, so I'm good.
Amazing. So Lovable is everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to talk to you because you're inside of this rocket, skyrocketing somewhere into the space. And I know that what you're building, guys, it's really, really community first based and focused. And you have such a great partnership across the globe in Europe as well. And so you're kind of well connected to different ecosystems. So that's what I'm seeing from the outside, but also, cooperating with you a bit of insight in the SHIP program, for instance. So what would you say about, if we're looking at the Lovable, the great example of European company growing and the friends in the market as well, what kind of trends you see in terms of the European tech ecosystem? What's special going on right now here so that started to boom and be everywhere?
Yeah. I think founders in Europe now are so much more bold and brave. They are inspired by the success stories now that we have in Europe, like Lovable, Agora, Tandem Health, all of these just from Sweden. So people are now out there, and we're not following the Silicon Valley playbook anymore. But also, I work a lot with community activation and ecosystem partnerships, and I see a big shift in how companies work with B2C growth. For Lovable, that's one of our main channels of growth, and it's absolutely incredible to see. And we can see how larger enterprises now use hackathons to recruit, to solve internal challenges, to find talent. And we can also see how students and young professionals are attracted to these hackathons to meet like-minded people, develop new skills. But many people also use it on their CVs now. So it's a very cool trend.
Yeah, and I want to deep dive here because we at Terminal 4 working with so many consumer tech startups, and I think for some of them trying this like community-led growth, and somebody thinking about this, playing with, I don't know, paid ads or something. So what would you recommend, because you're really deep into, so what's the core things about building this community growth engine? Like what's to start from? Like what's the main, like, you know, killer features there?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question. I think you need to start by having a product that people loves using. So start with a product. You shouldn't start with building a community. So have a product that people want to use.
Yep.
When you have that in place, you need to focus on creating a product that people either learn from, they need to build, they need to learn, and they need to hit new milestones. Because when they do these three things, they want to share it with others, and that results in like organic growth. That's the beauty of Lovable. People are building, people have like superpowers at their fingertips, and then they want to share it to their parents, their friends, their siblings, and that's how we grow our community. Like I started working at Lovable 6 months ago. Up until then, and we already had a large community when I started, it's just been organic because people shared their wins. So I think that's critical. And then it's about creating structures to help the community grow. Like my role is a lot about creating structures to the community, to help the community engage with each other, share their wins, make it easy for people to engage. So I think that's like the three like main components, at least the three main components that we use at Lovable.
Amazing. Super, it's well structured. I love that. What would you say, how would you describe this Lovable community structure?
I think it's pretty much what I just shared. Like what we do a lot is that we gather success stories, and we also like lift up our community. If we see the community doing great, we're also sharing that. We also include the community a lot when it comes to like our product. We listen to our users. We develop based on the product feedback, and that makes them feel like a part of our growth journey, which makes them more inclined to like engage with our brand. We also made it very, very easy to spread awareness about Lovable. If you want to host an event or a hackathon, you just reach out to me, and I have a playbook in place, I have brand assets in place, so this makes it possible for anyone across the globe to engage. And then we also, lift up the community through ambassador programs. We're now launching a community, like ambassador program for students called Campus Leaders, and I've been headhunting every one of them. I've been talking to every single person. They have my number, so we're friends. And I think that makes it even more easy and to engage.
It's such a good thing. Back then, I used to work at Impact Hub, they're like a place around the globe, and I still launched this ambassador program. So it's like, I'm an Impact Hub ambassador. And I think the same, there's Seawood with Lovable, and it's like, I'm ambassador of Lovable, and people, they are proud of it, and I think this is such an amazing tool of them.
We're so proud of them, to be honest. The community is the heart of Lovable, to be honest. We learned so much from them. They help us so much. A few days ago or yesterday, we launched that we just reached 200 million ARR. And as a part of this launch, we also launched an event site with all the community-led events around the globe. It was an ambassador who helped us build this. And I'm so grateful for this network that we have and how invested that our users are in our product. So we would never have been here without them.
Was there a case with the some event that you didn't even know about it?
Since I started, I've been engaged in over 500 events.
Oh my God.
And I started 6 months ago. Or even less. I started in June. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm too tired to do the math. But yeah, that's a lot. But that's only the events I'm aware of. There's so many things happening across the globe every day, every minute. I think today I've had 10 events and I'm here. So it's incredible. I'm so fascinated and so impressed.
So happy you're with us, basically, after those 10 events.
No, of course.
Kate, finally want to switch to you. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
The first question is about, of course, coffee. How's the coffee in Helsinki? Tell me the nice spots that you found.
Yeah, of course, I'm Australian. I think I'm going to be searching a while. A lot of the coffee I've had so far has been the percolated variety in a kind of very large vessel filled with hot water.
Okay, got it. Thanks for market overview.
Setting the
I'm interested.
barometer very low.
Okay, I'll know about it. So the question about the European tech thing, what Sophia mentioned that, and I'm totally agree. We're not here in Europe copying the playbooks from Silicon Valley
the
and
rocket
everything.
internet.
Yeah, which is interesting. That what we see in our community as well. That like US founders, let's say European founders, using such a different tactics, strategy, especially with the go-to-market and everything. But if we take a look at the European market right now, like overall, very helicopter view, which you're amazing at, what would you say are those like superpowers of European founders, and at the same time, maybe something that here people are not really good at, and we need to maybe look at those guys across the ocean?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the superpower of Europe is a ability to really connect with industry. And that's something I've only seen really successfully. It started maybe a decade ago with sort of your connected things like wearables and your mobile apps and your industrial tech, but it never really gained full traction until we got AI. And I feel like we've had this amazing renaissance the last couple of years. And I'll say it's literally that early, where finally the business value of these things we've been promised for decades is being realized through AI. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact we have extremely educated founders in Europe. A lot of university spin-outs, a lot of people coming from higher education. But conversely, I've also seen the other trend where particularly I think the last 2 months I have written about at least 3 founders that are aged 16 to 18 that are funded, forming startups, doing often social impacts, but also just like different kinds of AI and stuff. And so it shows that there's the playbook kind of idea of like, yeah, fuck it, let's just go with it. There's also the kind of reality of like, we're from sectors where we have deep domain expertise, whether it's academia or business insights, and we actually know those pain points and we're going to actually bring that business value. That's really kind of a really evolution, I think, in Europe. It's kind of exciting.
Oh, that's super interesting. We actually also have in our community a lot of founders super young,
right?
hustlers.
It's so cool, right?
And it's interesting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, because if you're thinking about Europe back then, you were thinking about guys and like having the jackets and then being so serious about their 20-year experience and right now it's really cool guys and it's shifting.
But it also shows that the barometer for who can create frontier tech or industry leaders has really shifted. You don't have to be that wonder kid. It can be anybody who's really identifying a problem and a meaningful solution. And to conversely, you mentioned what are the weaknesses. Honestly, the biggest one I see in my role, and I travel a lot, as you know. I go to sort of more established ecosystems like the Nordics, the Baltics, the DAC. Compared to places like maybe some parts of Ukraine that are maybe less developed, or Moldova, Armenia. The problem there you have is their biggest weaknesses are marketing, which is kind of funny as a journalist because they're so technical and the product and the tech is their baby. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to approach journalists. They don't know how to build. And conversely, as you were saying, part of this is that ability to talk and to communicate is building community, right? Particularly as we know a lot of this is underpinned by the benefits of open source, which is over the last decade. So they kind of go hand in hand, right? If you can't talk about it, you won't bring people in and you won't get people talking about you, whether it's a journalist, a podcaster, a community member or a potential customer.
That's interesting what you mentioned, that you see more developed markets and countries, and you see like class or some, somewhere that they might have still some challenges.
More frontier markets, where they're earlier entry, perhaps.
If we're thinking about markets and countries, like a question for both of you, because you're traveling a lot and talking to people, what are the most interesting, let's say, markets, like countries? There are Sweden, they're booming right now in Europe. But also maybe vertical, something that became super trendy in a good way to really build on this space something new. But like, what would you say, Sophia, maybe?
Yeah, sure. I think in terms of countries, I am quite excited by Italy and Moldova for different reasons.
Okay.
Italy is kind of this little quiet achiever where they're chipping away quite well with the hardware space, things like chips and, sensors and so forth. But conversely, there's this kind of underplaying of quantum, which is really kind of growing. And I went to a conference recently in Moldova, in Italy, in Bologna. And it was, this is something I've never seen before at a conference. They had an event and it was like usual startups, investors, and they brought in potential customers.
Oh, nice.
So actual industry people that would use your product. And part of that was the launching, promoting this supercomputer that they had for all these companies to use. Startups, ecosystem. That is the way you bring people in, right? Excite them, make them see what's possible.
Maybe bring
easy.
some checks.
Yeah, right.
Kind of
great.
Money.
Connections.
And Moldova, what's special about Moldova?
I think the thing I like about Moldova is they've leapfrogged, if I can use that term, a bunch of steps. Maybe some of the earlier kind of waves of Web 2.0, maybe early mobile. They've just gone all in. So, and a lot of this is infrastructural. They've set up like a digital kind of ecosystem, a bit like Estonia, if you know that one, where people can do everything online, digital first. You can register, you can start a business very easily in like minutes. You can start a VC fund. And you can have that kind of background where, for example, as a founder or your whole company only pays 7% tax. That's the way you foster entrepreneurship, by lowering the barriers of entry. And conversely, you have a country where it's educated people. So they're people that are, really rising up and bringing something that I think will scale very nicely.
And what verticals? You mentioned like a hardware in Italy. What kind of things are, Europe is really great at?
Quantum, robotics, agritech is kind of leaping up at the moment. It's kind of a quiet achiever, agritech. They're probably the main ones at the moment. I think health tech and you can't not mention biotech, right? Of course. Because, I think particularly at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of stuff around cancer, identifying cancers, early responses, research, things that really have that tangible income, that obviously that very technical kind of, research, different knowledge, but with a very tangible, high impact outcome.
Fingers crossed for guys fighting cancer, with their tools. Because oh my God, this is such a bad thing. Sophia, what would you say? Countries, verticals.
I must say I agree with Italy. I was actually in Milan a few weeks ago.
Surprisingly.
And I'm so impressed by the early professionals there, the students. We had a big hackathon for the 150 best engineers in the country. And the level of what they achieved, we had a hackathon where they were supposed to build a new Slack, a new Airbnb, or a new Typeform.
Amazing.
And the quality was amazing. And they were so hungry, they were so driven. I mean, the organizer was so professional as well. So I was really, really impressed. And I see a lot of hackathons going on in that region now. So we can see how they're activating the community bottom up, but also how this younger generation go out to well-established firms, teaching them about AI.
Yeah,
One
absolutely.
of the firms I worked with was Yellow Tech, which is an AI educator kind of for larger enterprises and education. And they're growing so quickly right now, being out there educating about tools like Lovable, OpenAI, etc. So I was really, really impressed by the quality and by the professionalism as well. And it was very funny. The founder of that company was very similar to our founder at Lovable. So we had a very good time. So that was a great one. I also want to say something about the Nordics, because I really agree with you when it comes to having these structures in place. I think what the Nordics and the Sweden is very good at is the relationship between education, research, and then industry and the business life. I think that's and even politics. I think that's the reason to the success. We have a lot of incubators, startup hubs, so many pitching competition where you can get money for free just by participating. To start a company, you need 2.5k euros then. So it's so easy now to start a business, especially with tools like Lovable. Now anyone can become an entrepreneur, and that's why I think that the region is extra interesting, because we have so low barriers to entry from an administrative point of view, and then with tools like these AI vibe coding tools, you don't need to be technical anymore. All you need to do is you need to be creative and you need to have an imagination. So I think these two, like going hand in hand, will be absolutely amazing. And of course that holds for like the rest of Europe as well.
Yeah.
But I think Sweden has been a great example in setting like the structure from a governmental standpoint. Otherwise, I don't have any surprising. I think you're the expert, but I also think Paris is doing great. I'm also super impressed by like all student associations, startup hubs coming from there, like the the ambition among the younger population as well, and the connection between like venture capital and startups. They work very closely together. A well-connected city.
I think they have like a Station F, huge hub of like so many programs.
Station F, Pluto House, Hexa. There's so many cool organizations. And it's impressive because, I mean, Sweden is small. I mean, in Sweden, it's Stockholm. That's where it happens. I'm sorry to Gothenburg and Malmö, but it's true. And the thing about Stockholm is that you can just call. You're like 1 or 2 calls away from pretty much anyone because since it's so small, everyone knows each other.
I love that.
Yeah, but I mean, Paris, it's so much bigger, but they still have that energy, which is very impressive. But yeah, so it's a bit a boring answer. It's like big cities, but... yeah, those are the 3 that I see right now.
So that's the time to learn French and Italian. Thanks God, this is the most beautiful languages in the world.
Yeah.
So
I'm practicing. We have so many French people at the office, so I practice with them. But I sound like a baby, so I'm not doing that much
like my
progress.
Deutsch. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Larry. So I'm thinking something that I will get from you as well during these conversations, that we have this amazing basis. Like we have education, sometimes like very math or physics, very structured one that could help founders, and this is like something that we're really champions in. But also I love the idea that we could introduce new tools, like really tools about like distribution or building the product, tech, marketing, any other solutions that might help younger or more older founders, no matter even started from school, to build something to try on. And so maybe that's like when basics meet something disrupting, and here we go, the new generation of founders. Oh my God, that was such a lovely conversation. Yeah. Thank you. Such a lovable conversation.
Exactly. I learned a lot.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I think
so interesting.
When you have in the name of the company such a warm and nice, word, so that might.
Are you saying it's puntastic?
Fantastic. I love that.
We have a lot of jokes about our name. You can use it in so many ways.
Amazing. It works itself for you.
Perfect.
Watch out, Coca-Cola.
Thank you, Kate and Sophia. Thank you for joining us. And this was actually the last conversation. I'm so sad, but I'm so happy at the same time because, people are screaming at the bar. And that's something fun happening. We're sitting with you just talking.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Stellar
Great work.
There's a lot of sustenance and stamina doing this kind of work.
Yeah, almost 30 speakers joined today. Oh my God.
You're rocking it. Oh my God.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for joining us as well. I know a lot of people watching us online as well, which is amazing. And we have the amazing community support across the ocean, actually in Europe as well. We have quite big community. So thanks to all of you, and have an amazing morning, evening, whatever time you have. Thanks. Yeah, we've done